Everyone, in this video we are going to talk about how you might be able to predict the number of Carole Baskin references that I might make each day. So here you can see a graph here that is the number of Carole Baskin references each day, and the y-axis is the number of Carole Baskin references and the x-axis is the date. So on April 8th, I know for sure I made one Carole Baskin reference. And then on April 9th, let's say that I made one Carole Baskin reference on April 9th. Alright, so then what is the number of Carole Baskin references that I might make on April 10th, 11th, or 12th? Well, one thing that could happen is, let's say that maybe on April 10th I make two of them. So this is my hypothesis. Alright, let's say I make two of them. And then on April 11th, let's say I make three of them. Alright, so here we go. 3 Carole Baskin references on April 11th. And then let's say I make 5 Carole Baskin references on April 12th. Well, then you can see, hopefully, that this sequence of numbers is a pretty famous sequence of numbers called the Fibonacci sequence. Alright, so let's say perhaps one thing that I know about the number of Carole Baskin references I make each day is that they could follow the Fibonacci sequence. But, you know, what happens if, say, for example, that today, on April 8th, I make one Carole Baskin reference, alright? And then on April 9th, let's say that, again, I make one Carole Baskin reference on April 9th. But then later in the day, I make another Carole Baskin reference. So let's say that I end up making 2 total for the day on April 9th. Well, then how about April 10th then? Let's say I decide that I want to make 4 Carole Baskin references. And then on April 11th, I decide that I want to make, let's say, let's go with 8 Carole Baskin references. So that's actually off of the chart, right? So that's so high up here that we can't even see it. So you see that the number of Carole Baskin references went up pretty quickly, right? And that's actually what we call exponential growth. All right, exponential growth, and here is the model for that. It's just 2 to the x. So on day 1, 2 to the 0, day 2, 2 to the first, day 2, 2 to the second, and day 3, 2 to the third equals 8. So that means that by April 12th, we have 2 to the fourth, or 16 Carole Baskin references. So that's quite a lot of Carole Baskin references by just the pattern of exponential growth. However, alright, let's say that I make one Carole Baskin reference on April 8th. Alright, here we go. And I make one Carole Baskin reference on April 9th. Alright, and then on April 10th, I decide to make 2 Carole Baskin references. And then I decide to make 2 more on April 11th. Alright, and then on April 12th, I decide to make 3 Carole Baskin references. And then the next day, April 13th, let's say I make 3 Carole Baskin references on that day. So then you could use a sort of a a step function then to actually model the number of Carole Baskin references that I might make on a certain day from April 8th on. So you could use a step function of sorts. So that would be 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and every 2 days this would go up by 1 Carole Baskin reference per day. Alright, so now let's say that I go ahead and I make 1 Carole Baskin reference on April 8th. So here is 1. And then 1 Carole Baskin reference on April 9th. Alright, so here we go, just like before. But then later in the day, I go and I decide I want to make 3 more Carole Baskin references on April 9th. So then that would be a total of 4 Carole Baskin references on April 9th. So here we go. So then what is the sequence of Carole Baskin references going to look like then? So here we go. So there's a couple of things you might be thinking. It could be 1, 4, and then we add 3 every day. So 7, 10, 13, 16. So if you add 3 every day, then there we go. We have an arithmetic series. So that's one way this could be modeled, right? An arithmetic series. And then, well, let's say that I'm not actually sure what happens after 4, and it's 1, 4, and then 16, 64, and 256. Well, then I'm multiplying by 4 every day. 1 times 4 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, 16 times 4 is 64, and then you see I have a sort of geometric series for how the number of Carole Baskin references is growing each day. Alright, and let's say I have a 1 and a 4, and then a 9 and a 16 and a 25 and a 36 and a 49. Maybe I am just using the square numbers to model how many Carole Baskin references I'm going to make each day. So the one thing that I hope that you can see is that there's really no way how you're going to find out how many Carole Baskin's references I'm going to make every day unless you follow me for more. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.